Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally here. After the tournament is all said and done, 5th seed goes to the Arizona Ash Ketchums and Chris, and 6th seed goes to the Breloom Bambinos into Boone. This is history in the making. The first ever full season playoffs of Big Juice Championship League is here. Now, it's time to get down to business. From here on out, if you lose, you're out. There is no more losses to fall on. It's put up or shut up. And quite frankly, we got 6 teams that show it more than anyone else. Queen City Quaxleys have been dominant both seasons, even being your Season 1 champion. Philadelphia Flyguns, consistent as always, securing 2nd seed back-to-back seasons. Will they actually make it to finals this year? Find out next time. Monroe Minans, they were 1st or 2nd seed last year, fallen to 3rd seed. Can they make it out of the quarterfinals to make it to another finals appearance? Last Minute Lionoons, one of our new coaches in our extension. Will they prove to be a menace with their new free agency moves? Or will Chris at number 5 finally keep the momentum going and finally get his desperate win he needs over the MNAS Army in the Last Minute Lionoons? And last up, one of our new coaches as well in Tabs of the Breloom Bambinos. Will he show that he can beat Tanner as well? I don't believe he's beaten Tanner this season either. So for both Chris and Tabs, this is to prove when everything is on the line, can they prove that they are top tier teams? And that, my friends, is where we start off. It's time to talk bracket runs and, most importantly, team matchups. Now, announcer voice aside, Chris's matchup is very, you look at Tapu Koko and Ndidi, right? And you think that doesn't change this matchup a lot until you really start thinking about it. Psychic Terrain does 2 things for MNAS. Powers up Alakazam, but it also protects it from Sucker Punch. And the fact that Bisharp can no longer Sucker Punch Alakazam, that's big. That's absolutely massive. And also, the Electric Terrain prevents Chris from using Spore on his Shiinotic. So, looking at the team matchup this time, if there were ever a game Chris should not win, it is this one. Bisharp has proven in the both in the play-in tournament and throughout the season as one of his main go-to threats. And it's negated. Shiinotic, ever since picking up around week 5 or 6, has been proven to be one of the most oppressive low-tier threats in the league, and it can't use its best move in Spore. Granted, now the question then turns to, will MNAS bring Electric Terrain when there is a Regieleki in the game? That's where it gets sussy. Because yes, he wants to protect his team from Spore, but if he powers up Regieleki and Rhyperior is dead, this game is over. Reggie will run his entire team. So this is where it gets sussy. We may not even see Tapu Koko in this game out of fear of empowering the Regieleki. It's a double-edged sword for MNAS. It protects his team from the Spore, but it makes Reggie that much more of a fucking demon. So that, I don't know. That is a very sussy situation to be in. So now, comes the question. What do I believe will be the outcome of this game? Curse has yet to beat Mnez, which is important to note. Mnez also traded away... What was it? He traded away the Barraskewda and the Grimmsnarl for Ndidi Female and Tapu Koko. I think this is very, I think this is interesting. Because we don't know what the outcome is. Hold on, I gotta turn off my fireplace. I'll be back in like 2 seconds. So if there's a cut, there's a cut. If not, skip ahead like 20 seconds. I'll be right back. Alright, sorry. I would have ended the recording, but I got interrupted twice while recording this video already. Quite frankly, I don't want to do it a fourth time. I have a gas fireplace, so it started smelling like gas in my house, and I don't want to die of fucking carbon monoxide, so we're just gonna stop it there. Anyway, back to the video. So yeah, Koko is it's a toss-up if he brings it or not. If he's afraid of the Spore, he brings it. But he's going to have to play around. He needs Rhyperior to be alive. There's no way around it. Rhyperior has to... If Rhyperior goes down and Koko is... If Koko's in the game and Rhyperior's dead, Regieleki wins the game. Granted, he can reset terrain with Ndidi, which is important to note. He can reset it. But I don't think Ndidi wants to eat a Thunderbolt or an Electric Ball or Electro Ball from Regieleki at all. He probably gets 2-shot. So he'd essentially sack Ndidi to reset terrain, but then that allows Bisharp to then Sucker Punch after Psychic Terrain's gone. So it's a very weird matchup. And Chris is riding a lot of momentum going into this game. He was 5-11 coming into the last week. Literally the worst record possible to even be mathematically allowed to make playoffs. He beat Tabs, he beat Wu, allowing him to get into this play-in tournament. He then beat Tabs again, and then beat Chase to go from not even making playoffs to securing the highest seed possible in the play-in tournament. Even if Chris loses this game, you can look at this season and consider it a success. Chris, going into Season 1, brand new player. Granted, everyone that was still around going into the playoffs in Season 1 made playoffs because we had so many coaches drop. We had 2 coaches drop, so we had the 6-man play-in tournament, or 6-man tournament for playoffs. So everyone still around made playoffs. So Chris made playoffs, but everyone did, so it doesn't really count that much. But he was 1-5, and then he lost first round. Chris this season, 7-11, really his improvement as a player has been great, and especially in the past 2 or 3 weeks, fantastic. This is a tough matchup for him. He's got terrain to deal with. Bisharp is no longer the counter it wants to beat Alakazam. And that Rhyperior has been his burden in both games. Charizard can't set up and sweep. Bisharp can't do the damage it wants to. Crobat can't do the damage it wants to. Reggie gets absolutely shut down. Drapion can't do anything. It's Xatu. Grass Knot will do a lot. It might not kill from full, and he probably dies to Stone Edge. The only things he has for Rhyperior are that Shiinotic and Gastrodon. But. Again, Shiinotic might not even come in fear of not being able to spam Spore, because of the electric terrain. So potentially, this matchup comes down to whose walls fall first, Rhyperior and Mnez, or the Shinada Gastrodon combo of Chris. Because the second those walls fall, their offense go in. So this is going to be an insane game. And I don't like doing 2-0s because I genuinely believe anyone can beat anyone. It's been proven this whole season that anyone can beat anyone. Truthfully, I believe that's not even like I truthfully believe anyone can beat anyone. So the question then becomes, who's moving on to fight JC in the semis? And as much momentum and as much hype I have for Chris, and as much momentum he's riding going into this game, especially in his newfound love for substitute Calm Mind Crest, I think Mnez will not allow that to happen. And I think he will find a way around the Crest, and I think his Rhyperior will stand. It stood before in the past 2 sets. I don't see why it would fall now. So I have... Can I move this or what? Settings? Bracket. Okay, so just pretend Mnez is here against JC. I don't think creating an account. Alright, so now we move... okay, set. I think Mnez beats Chris, but I think it's a 2-1. Again, if Chris didn't have such a dominant performance in the play-in tournament, I'd probably give it 2-0 here for Mnez. But Chris has improved tremendously as a battler in the past couple weeks. Like the later half of the season, he's really improved. He's finding out some more niche sets that really help his prep game, make his team a little bit more unpredictable. But Mnez is Mr. Consistent, I like to call him. He beats who he beats, and he does it. And even the people he loses to, he makes it a close game. So I believe Chris will probably take game 1 or game 2 off of Mnez for sure. Absolutely. But I don't think Mnez is going to lose to Chris. I think we're going to see Mnez versus JC in the semis for the top end of the bracket. Now for the bottom half of the bracket, we have the Monroe Minans versus the Breloom Bambinos. Now, these coaches also made some last-minute roster swaps, and I gotta change this song because it's starting to get a little annoying. What's this? What's NFL theme song? I clicked the wrong thing. This is anime. Do you want to vibe with this? This is beautiful. We're gonna have the ambiance of Violet Ever. I need to watch this show, Violet Evergarden. I've been hearing so much about it. I want to watch it so bad. I'm getting distracted. All right, Monroe Minans versus Breloom Bambinos. Both coaches made some roster changes last minute. Tabs traded with B to acquire Metagross and Amoonguss for Blissey and Cloyster. The Monroe Minans dropped Umbreon for Goodra. How much do I think that plays in this matchup? A lot, actually. Amoonguss and Metagross shut down the Comfey completely. Comfey might not even come to this game, out of fear of just being hard-walled and allowing Amoonguss and Metagross to come in for free every time. But in losing Blissey, Tabs no longer has a switch in to the Blacephalon, and that is extremely scary. Blacephalon, in my opinion, has been one of the most consistently threatening offensive threats in the league. When I was doing the offensive MVP award, I didn't put Dragapult on there. I put Blacephalon because I don't know. Maybe it's because I have Dragon Pulse, so I didn't find it as threatening. But in my opinion, Blacephalon has been a very threatening Pokemon for all teams to deal with. And now that Tabs doesn't have the Blissey, Blacephalon becomes a major concern. His only switch in is like Dusclops, but it's a ghost on ghost, and he's an offensive ghost, and Tabs is a defensive ghost, so it's not a matchup that he likes. So yeah. I guess Togekiss could, but it's not eating it well. But at the end of the day, the sticky webs, that's just been the name of the game for Tabs ever since he got Ribombay in week 3. Sticky webs, sticky webs. It forces Tanner to free up a move slot on his Comfey, his Hydreigon, or his Minior if he decides to bring it, into having Defog. So there's that. The last time they played, again, I think Tanner beat Tabs both times this season, so Tabs is really not liking it, but it's a double-edged sword. His team becomes less well, even, I don't know, losing Blissey for Tanner is massive, because Blissey shuts down both Blacephalon and Comfey, so it's tough. Tanner's team is just... The Goodra, I don't think changes his matchup a whole lot. Yeah, Goodra is like the best counter in the game to Victini. So, one of the best counters to Victini in draft. So, I think it changes it a little bit. I think we will see the Goodra out of Tanner, but in general, this game, like all of Tanner's games, is momentum. If Tabs can just stay on the right foot and not play super predictable, I think he'll be fine. Because in the last time they played, I think it was week 7 or week 6, Tanner brought Focus Sash, Dragon Dance, Dueling Beat to counter their Bombay lead, which, in my opinion, was a great fucking lead. That's a great set. So, does Tanner bring that again? I don't know, because I think he needs Defog. But if Tabs can realize, watch the VODs back, see where things went wrong, I think he has a chance. But again, this game is so heavy. Let me change. I'm sorry. I hate to change the music up every 2 seconds, but the sad shit is like getting in the way a little bit. We need to get some hype on real quick. Here we go. I don't care if this video gets copyright claimed. We're not making money off it anyway. So, all right. So yeah, again, Tanner's team just so offensive that you just have to get on the lead from turn 1, and you have to try to keep it as well as possible. But again, if Tabs can get the webs up after Tanner's potential defoggers are dead, I don't see how Tabs loses. Victini and Lopunny just hit so hard. Metagross will outspeed, I think, everything after Sticky Web. So again, just if Tabs can get the webs up and keep them up, Tabs wins. If he can't or fails to with some great counter sets from Tanner, I think we see Tanner win. But unlike MS versus, or I said 2-1. Okay, I think this again. I don't like doing 2-1. I don't like doing 2-0s because again, I believe everyone can beat everyone. But I think it's a 2-1. Ugh! I want to say Tabs, but history just speaks for itself, and I think we see Tanner move on. So again, it comes down to the webs. If webs can stay up and it can get up and stay up, Tabs wins. If they don't, which historically they haven't, Tanner wins. So I think we see the last minute Linoons and Monroe Minans move on, which then brings us to the next set of games. The Queen City Quaxleys versus that. Monroe Minans versus this. Alright. So let's do this game first. Last minute Linoons versus the Queen City Quaxleys. Now, these trades are big for this game as well, because the trains are just overpowered, but these trades are massive. Tapu Koko, is a great check to Pinsir. Obviously can't really switch in because it's sort of frail, but it's a great offensive check to Pinsir. Pinsir has to switch out. And Electric Terrain boosted moves are gonna fry the Slowbro up. It probably is gonna fry the Dancy up as well. Qwilfish doesn't like it either. And Psychic Terrain prevents Pinsir and the Mimikyu from spamming priority, which is massive. And even Aqua Jet on Qwilfish potentially has it. So that's massive. And again, Alakazam with Psychic Terrain, it can't get Shadow Sneaked or Quick Attacked. This is looking tough for JC. These trades that Mnez made, they were in preparation of if he could beat Tabs in the 5th seed, which now we know it's Chris. And they perform well into Chris as well, as we talked about earlier. So this is obviously JC, champion of Season 1, #1 seed going into this game, ended the season with only 2 losses, so it's really hard to vote against them, but the team matchup is just hard to go against. Bronzong shuts down well, not really shuts down the Mimikyu because he's Psychic, but shuts down the Diancie. It's just so good into his team. And his offensive mons like Zarude and Darm, they don't care about Chansey. They don't care about Slowbro either. I guess Darm cares about Slowbro a little bit, but he just turns out, you know what I mean? Like, JC's in a very... Granted, JC has beaten Mnez both times, but that was when he had Barraskewda and Grimmsnarl. And I think these trades that Mnez made changes this matchup a lot. Granted, Mnez... This is assuming Mnez beats Chris. Mnez might not even make it to this game, but... I'm going with my bracket run. But assuming Mnez makes it to this game, again, it's hard to vote against JC because he's been the consistent #1 for a while now. But I have to give it to Mnez. I think the team matchup is so not in JC's favor. This is the true test. It's like last season with me. I faced JC in the semis, and his team was so good into mine, and he won, and then he went on to the finals and won. It's the same situation here, except he's in now my position that I was in last season. He's up against his hardest matchup he probably has to face in the playoffs, just on a team matchup perspective. If he can make it through this game, he has a great shot at championship. But... Alright, this is going to be my hot take, but I think Mnez takes this set 2-1. I think JC can win a game 1 off of prep, but I think Mnez will then adjust and win out the next 2. Or what I think will happen is I think Mnez will catch JC slipping in game 1. JC will make some great counter plays in game 2, and then it's going to come down to another like toss-up in game 3. I think is the most likely option that happens. But just team matchup wise, I have to give it to Mnez here. I think Mnez is going into finals. JC, I don't mean to prey on your downfall, but it's such a hard team matchup for you to go against. And again, if you win this game, your shot at winning winning the chip again, it exponentially goes up to like the moon. But this is going to be your proving ground. Can you beat the worst matchup for you possible? And we see this matchup not this weekend, but 2 weeks from now. So we'll have to see. Now me versus Tanner. This is where it gets sussy for me because obviously I don't want to spoil any potential ideas I have. But the first time me and Tanner played, he bozoed me. It was the first time he had Comfey, and I know, like, I've been playing Pokemon for a while, like, I know what Comfey does, but, underestimated to say the least. Tanner brought some good sets against me as well, and honestly, I was underprepared and underestimating the power of Comfey. And the second time we played, it was right around playoff time, so... It was a troll game, didn't mean anything. So me and Tanner have technically only played once this season, seriously. So coming into this game, I'm definitely on the back foot. It's just how it is. I'm on the back foot. And Goodra, it's good in my team. It puts on a lot of pressure. I think it's a good move. Obviously, since it's not my game, I don't want to give away too much. But again, Comfey as usual. We all know massive threat to my team. I only have one resistance in Empoleon, and if Empoleon dies, Comfey kind of just runs the rest of my team. Last time we played, Tanner had Taunt, so my Audino literally couldn't do anything to this thing. So if he brings that same set again, definitely gonna be tough for me. Definitely gonna be tough for me. Be straight up. But if I can kill Comfey and deal with it, I genuinely believe if I can kill Comfey, I'll be fine. Again, maybe it's just confidence exuding for me, but if you watch the VOD back from the last time we played, I literally got 1v6 by Comfey. It was miserable. So I genuinely think if Comfey dies, I win. It's kind of the same thing with Taz's game. If Taz can get webs up, he wins. If he doesn't, he loses. So in my mind, how I'm viewing the game, Tanner might view it differently, but in my mind, if I kill Comfey, I win. If I don't, I lose. So, who do I think wins? Again, I know it's me, and I can be biased here, but I really do think I can beat Tanner this time. He got the best of me the first time, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, I'm a bozo. So, I will not be the second seed in playoffs for a second goddamn time and not make finals, goddammit. I'm making a finals appearance, but I think Tanner is definitely going to take a game off of me. This is a 2-1 game, and I think it's going to be me and MNES in the finals based off what I said. Now, assuming, again, last season I had myself winning finals again, and I'm doing it again this season, but fuck it, alright? You got to have confidence in yourself, and, alright, listen, alright? Well, where's MNES? Alright, me versus... Assuming this is finals, like the bracket I've been saying is, let's look at team matchup. Scarf Zarude would go crazy into me. The terrains don't really affect my team that much, to be honest. They don't at all, really. Really, it's just empowering. The electric terrain actually works against them because I have Raikou. And empowering Raikou is just a bad idea. And... the psychic terrain doesn't really change much at all. Literally, the only thing it does is empower. If he brings electric terrain against me, it's empowering my Raikou. But if he brings psychic terrain, it's just empowers Alakazam. So, again, not really anything too crazy there. But if this is the finals, again, finals is a best of 5. The quarters and semis are best of 3 as usual, but finals is best of 5. If me and MNES play, I beat him 2-0 both times, but I don't think he's going to go down without a fight. The Duraludon is a threat, as always, to my team. So, if it's me and MNES in finals, I'm putting a 3-1. Putting 3-1. I think he can take a game off me, but I think I can take the rest of the set pretty convincingly. But let's say me versus JC on JC winning. If it's me versus JC, it becomes sussy because again, Mimikyu really just shuts down Dragapult, which has been one of the highest threats in the league offensively. And yeah. What else? Mimikyu scary. Diancie rolled my ass last time we played. Quillfish is always annoying, so if it's me versus JC, it's tough, because the first time we played, I bozoed him pretty hard with the Dragapults that I had. Second time we played, I prepped for I prepped for a different, not the Mons differently, but I prepped for a completely different strategy that he was going to bring. He didn't bring it, and I still brought it to a close game 3. And I almost won. I just fucked up a couple turns here and there, so Assuming I can nail his strategy down if I see him in finals, I'm confident I can win, but I can definitely see it going to a game 5. So yeah. But saying all this would not be fair if I didn't consider the fact that I don't even make it to finals again. And then we have a rematch of the Season 1 finals between Tanner and JC. And I think this is probably the most interesting scenario because, again, if they both make it to finals again, that's just great on them. Just really good on them. I'm probably going to fucking hang myself. But again, great on them if they make it again. But if this is the finals rematch in finals again, it's tough. Because JC beat Tanner the first time they played. And then Tanner really brought it to JC the second time they played. But Goodra is actually worse for Tanner here than Umbreon, because Umbreon at least walled the Mimikyu. Goodra is just fodder for the Guzzlord and the Diancie, so I think Tanner's matchup is actually worse this time. Obviously, the Comfey has been a thorn in everyone's side since he's gotten it, so thinking about it here, I don't know. I think Tanner defensively has a very bad matchup in this game, but I think offensively it's kind of like even, I would say. And as much as I hate to say it, I think if we see this, I think we probably see a repeat of Season 1. I think they go to a Game 5 and JC scoots up by a bit. As much as I don't want JC to win both back-to-back chips, I think if we see this again, I think JC learned what went wrong the last time they played, and I think he'll be able to come up with a strategy to come around it. And again, defensively, Tanner has a much worse matchup this time. So yeah, that's just how I see it. So yeah, again, if it's JC versus Tanner, I think JC wins in a Game 5. If it's me versus JC, I think I won in a Game 5. And then what's the other possible? If it's me versus Mnaz, I think it's me in a 3-1. Oh, I didn't. Okay, the last possible situation in my bracket, according to the semis, would be Tanner versus Mnaz. If we see Tanner versus Mnaz, I forgot this is Tanner versus Mnaz. Let's go over this one, and then this will be the end of the video. Tanner versus Mnaz. The electric terrain doesn't really affect too much, because Tanner doesn't really have anything that can really use sleeping moves, so really it'd just be a non-issue. Lantern probably comes in this game if this game happens, just to shut down the Tapu Koko, as well as Torterra. But the Psychic terrain is where it gets interesting, because it prevents Gallade from Shadow Sneaking the Alakazam to finish him off. That's big. And again, a Psychic terrain boosted Alakazam, Tanner's only switch in is Hydreigon, and Alakazam gets Dazzling Gleam, so the only thing Mnaz would have to look out for in this game would be a Scarf Hydreigon, and if that doesn't come, I think Alakazam 6-0's Tanner's team. Like, it just 6-0's his team, so yeah. I think if this game happens, again, I don't think Tanner's not a bad player by any means. That's not what I'm saying. He got 3rd seed for a reason. He's a great player. And again, he went to finals last season, so his playoff potential is great. I'm not doubting him. But I'm just not a fan of his team. Just a hyper offense. I think it's great in laddering, but in league play, a little bit less. It's not the greatest. And having 3 dragons and 2 of them being pure dragon doesn't. I don't understand why. Like, I don't know why he wanted Goodra. To be honest, I really don't. I think he could have traded for something else that was more impactful. Because by getting Goodra, he's essentially saying he's never bringing Reggie for the rest of the season, which he hasn't been bringing anyway. But still, just dead roster weight is just never a good thing. So. Who knows? But if we see this, as much as I hate Tanner's matchup in this game, I think they go to a game 5. But I think MNES walks away with the chip in this scenario. Again, you could prove me wrong, but really just Psychic Terrain boosted Alakazam is absolutely nuts. And Tanner, actually, the only switch in is Scarf Hydreigon, but he can't hard switch it in because he's going to be eating a Dazzling Gleam. So, again, really tough game for Tanner in this scenario, but he's proved us all wrong before. Prove us wrong again. But yeah. Again, I want to go over each final scenario. Again, Chris or Tabs could make it to finals, but going over every finals possibility, that'd just be too long. So I just went over the 4 possible scenarios with the 4 teams that I had going to semis in MNES and Tanner. So yeah, again, I think I'm gonna win, but it's not fair to say that because the last season I didn't make the finals. So again, not fair for me to just say that, especially going on the league channel. So I went over each option and who I think is winning in each. So yeah, that's going to be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed my predictions, analysis of sorts of who would beat who and which matchups. And yeah, excited for this weekend, see who moves on to semis. I'm excited to see who I get to play. It's time for the Philadelphia Flygons to come home with the chip. And yeah, see y'all in the next one where we go over semi matchups and final matchups, see if I was right in my bracket prediction. So I'm out of here. We got a banger song on the exit. See y'all later.